I'm 6'8", and I used to be a $145 wet. Like, I'd run around in the shower to get wet. Like, that's how skinny I was.
Welcome to another edition of Chewing the Fat. I am your host, Big Rob. Thank you so much for tuning in, downloading the episode. Thank you for the likes, the follows, the ratings, the reviews. They mean so much to me. I really, really appreciate that. Also, a big shout out to Les and to Susan and to Eric for supporting the podcast by buying me a coffee at chewingthefatbr.com. Thank you so much. That means so much. It helps me to keep the energy up and going. And I am really excited about my guest this week. I've been trying to get him on for a little while. Our schedules aligned, and please welcome Christopher Crozier.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm glad the stars could align. I'm glad we're here.
If you don't know who Chris is, by the name Christopher Crozier, you may know him by Tree.
I don't know why they call me that. It's weird. I think it's because if you go back and look, I had this huge afro. Not so much anymore.
Not so much anymore.
It's fine.
And it's because you look like I mean, they could have called you Shrub. Shrub might have been a little bit more hurtful, but they call
for
you
sure.
Tree. Tree and I worked together in retail several years ago, and we just stayed in touch, stayed good friends, and I'm so glad that you're here with me. You were an inspiration to me since the day that we met. Your energy is infectious. I love hanging out with you, talking with you. You've got, even at your early young age, you've got like dad jokes down pat, and they're so good, and you deliver them so dry, and it just makes me laugh so much. So thank you for who you are, first of all.
I appreciate it. I mean, not so many people like my dad jokes,
Oh, they're so good.
I mean, I just like to pull them out of my database and pull them out whenever they're needed. But,
oh man,
I'm here for the laughs. Love to make them smile.
You're an inspiration to me for one, because of your sense of humor, but because of also your work ethic, your drive, your determination. There's not a lot that really, at least on the outward appearance, that sets you back or gets you down. And part of that, you took a risk. You had an idea, and in that entrepreneurial spirit, you took your idea and you're like, you know what? I'm going to see what's going to happen with this. And you built a business for yourself. Please tell me a little bit more about Mobile Mentors.
For sure. I would love to. So in 2013, I started a new job. And while I was there, I had 1 year, I just loved where I worked. I loved everything about it. And I would come in early, I would stay late. And then 1 year, I sold over $1 million in 1 year. And they were like, good job. Do it again next year. Yeah. I was like, cool, great. So anyway, ended up like not really finding any vertical growth for me. But I kept having people come up to me and they were like, Christopher, can you just come to my house? Can you just do this? Can you help me here? And I was like, no, I can't do that. And after a while, I thought about it and I was like, I probably could do that. Why not? So I kind of plotted my escape and, thought about what I would do, where I would go, how I would do it. And I started my own business. I actually had a couple friends while I was there that had been entrepreneurs beforehand and ran their own business. And I was terrified of it. Like, I wasn't even terrified of failure. I was terrified of success.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, well, what happens if I do this? Like, yeah, I may fail and that would suck and people might make fun of me, whatever it is. But what if I get bigger than I can handle? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, what would happen in this instance or what would happen here? And I remember looking back, and back when Time Hop was like a big thing, it was an app that you can go back and see what you posted on that day many years ago and stuff like that. And I had seen a picture of myself in my uniform, and I just looked so sad.
Oh, wow.
And I talked to a friend of mine. Cameron Hoover, and he said, "What are you waiting on?" And I said, I'm terrified. What if I fail?" And he goes, "But what if you succeed?" He said, so like looking back, he was like, "Do you want to look back on this app a year later and be in the same place that you're in now, wishing that you would have done something different?" And I was like, man, that's a good point. Like, dang, Cameron, why would you do me like that? So I ended up leaving November 2nd, 2016, the day after my 5-year anniversary.
Wow.
And the next day I started my LLC paperwork and started my own business where I would go into homes and businesses and train them on how to effectively use their technology. So I did that for 5 years. Got accepted into a nationwide incubator. I was the first of 10 people that were selected to receive part of this $500,000 grant, which I didn't see any of that money. Don't think that I got any of that money, and that's helped me. But they gave me a mentor. They kind of showed me how to do different things. Now, a lot of people were at different stages, but I was a little bit further ahead because I'd already been running the business for a little bit over a year, but they kind of gave me a little bit of insight, helped me with networking, things like that. So, just moved on from there and continued in that mentorship, and and just been running the business ever since. And so most of the business was me helping little old ladies set up their printers or figure out why they have 4 Facebooks or, sign them up for Our Time, which is my favorite story. Our Time is Tinder for 55 and older.
Oh, wow.
And so, I got to help a lady set up that. The coolest story is I actually got to help out a whole family.
Yeah.
It was cool. But I remember my first appointment so distinctly. I thought it was the coolest thing. And I thought I had the coolest job ever. I still think that. But I had this lady call me up, and she said, she sent me an email, and all she had was one word: help.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, what's going on? Like, can you give me a little bit more info? And she was like, I have like 30,000 emails and I need them gone. And I've got this issue and this issue. And I was like, cool, let's set up a time and I'll come over there. So I set up a time and I go over there, and this lady, I kid you not, you remember the TV show The Nanny?
Yeah.
Lady looked like Sylvia Fine, like gaudy jewelry, blonde hair, the New Jersey accent, like everything. Like, I legitimately at the table, I pulled up my phone to see if she had moved to Aiken, see if this was her.
Right.
And she was like, all right, sets a kitchen timer for 2 hours. Ask me to show her how to delete them. I show her how to like delete 100 at a time. And she's like, Richard, get over here. You're never going to guess what Christopher just did. He's wicked smart, I tell you. And I'm like losing it. I'm in this air conditioned room. This lady's brought me sweet tea to drink while I'm talking to her. And like an hour goes by and she's like, all right, enough. Richard, it's your turn. And her husband comes over, and he's kind of like Eeyore, and he's like, okay, I'll come over. And sits down. He's like, can you show me how to save something to a flash drive? And I'm like, 100% I can.
Right.
Like, I know how to do that. I can definitely show you how to do that. So I show him, and I'm thinking this is going to take 5 minutes. Nope. Whole hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he was like, I moved it over, showed him how to do it, had him do it, made sure that he felt confident with it. And then he looked at me and he goes, but what if I don't trust you? And I go, well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you on that one. I mean, I can show you how to do it again. We can double check it. I can show you what's in the flash drive, everything like that. And he was like, okay, let's do it. We did it like 19 times.
Wow.
And it was amazing. And he was just so excited. The kitchen timer went off. This lady had a check already written, ready for me, signed it, hands it to me. She said, all right, Richard, he's done. Time's up. Hands me the check, and then had baked fresh cookies while I was there. Handed me warm chocolate chip cookies while I'm there. And goes, here you go. Also, sorry I kept you during your lunch hour. Here's $20. And I was like, wait a second.
Right.
I made this much money sitting down in an air-conditioned room telling people what to do. and I got fresh cookies and I already had like lunch plans after this. And then I was meeting someone else and I was like, this is the best job in the world.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to beat that. So that's a little bit about what I did. Now I got to work with close to 60, 70 businesses in the Southeast and working with them from clients in Florida to Alabama. I have some in North Carolina as well as South Carolina and Georgia, but it was just great working with these companies who didn't really have like the infrastructure or the need for an IT guy, but they just needed some basic stuff. So I was able to come in and help them with that. So,
but I mean, that's got to feel like really, really rewarding though, especially in that first scenario, you know, when, you know, when you do things, you know, we do things on our phones and our computers that we don't even think about, you know, it's just second nature.
Oh, for sure.
You know, but for somebody who's struggling to move a file to a thumb drive, you know, and needing to try it 20 different times to make sure that it's on there. And you may want to roll your eyes at it, but how fulfilling that must feel at the end of it. And especially for, you know, all the appreciation that they showed, you know, to you afterwards, and not to mention the check for, like you said, just sitting down and doing something that was second nature to you. So, I mean, that's amazing. That's you probably have some really great stories from customers.
For sure. I love to consider myself as like America's grandson. Like, that's what I feel like. But like, I actually
that hashtag America's grandson.
Please start that, please, 100%.
Yes.
But I actually got the chance to sit down with one of our friends, Mai King, and she was like, "Hey, I want to do a blog on like successful people," and I was like, "Why are you talking to me?" Like, and she goes, "Oh no, you're successful. You're following your dreams." And I was like, "Man, like, I didn't even think about it like that." Like, I was like, "Yeah, I am. You know, sure. I'll say I'm successful. Yeah, let's go with that story." And so she came down to me and she was just like, "Hey, like, why'd you quit your job? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do all this different stuff?" And you can't say money. That's why. Like, you can't say that. Right. And so it made me really like stop and think about it. And I was like, "Hey, let me think of an answer that like that's actually worth writing about."
Right.
And I realized I love helping people.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing like it. Like, I don't know how to explain it to you, but like, I ended up taking a sign language class, and I had a moment there with this guy who's he basically came up to me and he was like, "Hey, can you help me with this, or can you help my wife get an appointment?" And the fact that I had taken like 2 or 3 classes and knew how to sign certain things, they were blown away. They were like, "We're so glad that you know how to do this and can help us and speak our language."
Yeah.
That like, they were like wanting to know everything about me. They were like, "Are you single? What's going on? Like, do you have any kids?" And I was like blown away. Like, they were just so invested so quickly. And then like, for me, I ended up talking to the husband afterwards, and from my classes, they talked about how much expression you put in something with your face and with your hands, it adds to actually what you're saying. So I tried to be very dramatic, and when I did, he laughed. And for someone who can't hear themselves, and to laugh and to invoke that emotion in someone else, I lost it. Like, I broke. Like, I'm not, if you look at me, if you look up pictures of me, I am not the idea of masculinity. I'm not like the broad shouldered dude. Like, I'm not the tough guy. Like, I love chick flicks. I'll do all the basic captions on Instagram. Like, I'm that guy. But in that moment, like I don't cry. Like unless I'm hurt or like I'm been stabbed and or someone's just gone up to the altar and they're praying with their father and like they just accepted Jesus, I don't cry.
Right.
But I'm like leaving on my lunch break and I'm like, I've got to get out of here. I'm going to break down.
Right.
And I see my sign language teacher and I just break down. And I was like, what is wrong with me? And I'm like telling her everything that happened. And she's just so proud of me. And I'm just like, what is it? And I just realized I love helping people. Every job I've ever had is where I'm helping someone.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't know. I love helping people. And so you're right. It is rewarding. There's so many cool instances where you show someone how to connect their grandmother to FaceTime.
Yeah.
And now they're able to reach their grandkids and actually have that relationship with them. Or you're able to show them how to text. I helped a lady send her first text message.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, now what do I do? And I was like, you wait for them to respond. And she was like, this isn't as fun as calling somebody where you get instant gratification. I was like, I know, but now you can go do other things. And she was like, that is true. So
you could make me some cookies while you're waiting on
bingo. I love Snickerdoodle and Heath Bar and chocolate chip, please.
Mm-hmm. No, that's amazing though. And I gotta think, did you have a lot of opportunities to make those type of connections like during COVID, during the shutdown and quarantine? I got to imagine, especially with you going into homes to teach people stuff. And of course, they're like, nobody go anywhere. Nobody talk to anyone, stay, 8 million miles away and all this, My
job is literally sitting down most of the time with old people and walking them through how to do stuff. And then there's a mandate that comes out that says, don't hang out with old people. And I'm like, that's my whole job. That's like my livelihood.
Right.
And so with any entrepreneur, any business owner will tell you that business, at least first starting out, is all about pivoting. And any entrepreneur or business owner worth his salt will basically tell you is in your brain, it never stops. You are consistently thinking, how can I improve? How can I improve? What am I doing wrong? How can I do this better? And so in your brain, when things happen, like you may be playing a video game or hanging out with friends, and instead your brain's somewhere else and sending you to, how can I improve, or how can I create the customer journey better? And so for me, it was, how do I meet with these people that don't know how to necessarily understand how to lock their phone the correct way, or how to put their fingerprint sensor on there. And it's like, I can't tell them to download an app because they don't understand how to do that. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them.
Right.
And so then it's like, how do I show them that even if I was using Zoom, a lot of them are very worried, because keep in mind, they've been building up all this fortune or net worth over their entire life. And they're worried about scams online.
Yeah.
They're worried about identity theft. They're worried about all this different stuff. And then I tell them, hey, download this app and then I'm going to take control of your computer. And they're like, no, thank you.
Right.
So like trying to convey that message to them was very unique and very interesting. And like putting on the mask and wearing gloves and making sure that was okay. But ultimately it came down to, hey, I can't really help you right now because everything's shut down. Everything's like, and I've got to look out for my business. Is how does this look if I go into a business and then I get that person sick?
Right.
Or if I'm working in assisted living community and I get one person sick, it gets everybody sick.
Right.
So I basically just spoke to a lot of my clients, and I was like, hey, I'm going to kind of distance myself until this thing kind of settles down.
Yeah.
At least for most of my elderly clients. And I ended up pivoting just mostly to my business clients and saying, hey, what does your business look like now that all of this stuff with COVID's happened? Let me show you how to do integrations with Zoom. Let me show you how to kind of make your business more tech savvy. But then again, there was all these people who are now working from home, and that computer that they had that never works, and now they've got to work from home and use their own computer. They picked up the phone and they called me. And so now my revenue was kind of substantiated or substituted with that other revenue stream.
Right.
And so that led to me doing more websites and more things like that for other people. But yeah, it was just a pivot of where is the main focus of my money coming from? So,
you mentioned something just a moment ago about the whole like scams and older folks being taken advantage of, and we hear about that all the time. There's 8 million hours of YouTube videos of, I love watching the guy that scams the scammers.
Yeah.
And he'll talk Farsi to them, and he'll understand what they're saying in the background, and he'll get into their. I love that stuff. That stuff, it's amazing. In what you did did you have an opportunity to, like you said, help folks to avoid that type of stuff? Because I would have to think that they kind of look at you as a confidant as well. It's like, hey, Christopher, I got this email, from a Nigerian prince. It seems legit. I'm only one digit away of giving my credit card number. Is that okay?
He told me I just needed to buy $300 worth of Google Play cards.
Play cards, right.
Yeah, and just send them the numbers.
Right.
You know? I was basically like America's grandson. They called me up.
Grandson. Yeah.
Yeah, they called me up and they were just like, Christopher, this has happened to me, or this has happened and this email was sent, or this. Should I send you the email? And I was like, do not send me the email.
Should I open this attachment?
Like,
no.
I'll get emails and text messages and stuff. Like, I'm just like, you're fine. There's nothing wrong. This is a scam. They're trying to trick you. And so basically being that voice of reason and that calmness to them that they were able to say.
Trusted advisor.
Exactly.
A
mentor.
Exactly.
A mobile
mentor.
But yeah, it was so interesting to have these people that are like when I say like wealthy beyond means, and people that are like some of the coolest and smartest people that you'd ever meet. They're like, hey, I don't understand how to do this. And I'm like, cool. And then I get over there and I just click forgot password and like walk them through how to do it.
Right.
But they're so scared because like looking at it from like a generational standpoint is like when they were growing up, it was like, if you broke something, it was broke. You had to call in a special person to come fix the computer.
Right.
And the computer was half the size of a room.
Right.
And so now, like, you look at kids, they'll pick up an iPad. They don't care if they break it. They're trained on it. And so now that's just so intuitive and so much easier to use. But they grew up where you could touch something and you break it. And so now it's just kind of being that guiding hand and letting them know it's not going to break. And if it does, I'm here.
Right.
So.
Right. I mean, I'd trust you.
I hope so.
I love our friendship, and we'll go grab lunches, and we'll make plans to grab lunches that never happen, and we'll true statement. And
professionals at that.
That's right.
Like we've almost had lunch like 1,000 times.
Exactly. But I mean, I think that social aspect is something that you, like you said, you like helping people, but you also like being around people too, right?
Well, I think that it's very interesting because like I like loathe awkward silences. Like I just loathe them. Like people all the time, they're like, Christopher, he's so goofy and he's this and he's that. And I'm like, no, I just don't like awkward silences. So I'll be goofy and I'll try and tell a joke, or I'll try to make people have a good time and like check in on the people that are sitting in the corner or whatever it is, because I've been that person. And I've been the person that like doesn't necessarily like fit in. I'm 6'8", and I used to be $145 wet. Like I'd run around in the shower to get wet. Like that's how skinny I was. Like, but like I want to make people smile, like helping people and figuring things out. And I enjoy it when people like get it and like that light bulb clicks. And you know how that is, especially like in our lives and like the ways that we've worked and different things like that. It's just when you help somebody get it, it just, you feel like you're on cloud 9 or cloud 10, if that's even a real thing. Right. But like, when it comes to like, a wedding date, different things like that, I've been a groomsman 17 times.
Nice.
I've been invited to 54 weddings.
Yeah.
And I have 4 more to go to. I have 3 in the next 2-3 weeks.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been interesting. And so, I guess one of the things that I'm doing is I'm looking to start a book.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's going to be kind of like a little guide, and it's going to be like, it's called the Groom's Guide.
Okay.
And it's basically like a book that you can pick up at your bridal shop, or you can pick up at a suit store, different things like that. And so it's basically a book that the bride can buy, and it's $5-10 book that you can get, and it teaches you, hey, this is what a best man speech is. Yeah. This is what the husband should do, and steer clear and let the bride do this different stuff. These are things you can work on. this is what a groomsman gift is. This is the venues you should look at. These are the photographers, the videographers. These are the takeaways that you need to worry about. Here's the top 5 wedding planners. Here's all this different stuff, because like, I mean, I legitimately feel like a wedding planner. I could tell you any venue. I could tell you 18 caterers. I could tell you the right videographer to go to for your style, or your photographer, or what colors to wear. Like, I've literally planned out my entire wedding. I just need to find my wife. Right. Like, that's it. Yeah. Like, so like
one little piece that's missing,
you know, I've already got it planned out. All she needs to do is pick an accent color. That's it. So
perfect.
You know, it's great.
That's awesome. That is so cool.
I feel like I'm going to do like a 27 dresses kind of thing, where like all the times that I've been a groomsman, I'm going to make all my groomsmen wear the exact same suit that they made me wear.
Nice.
And so I would probably be a millionaire if I didn't spend all the money that I had on wedding showers and let's see, the brunches that you go to, and the wedding gifts, and the suits, and the like gifts that you got to get, and the driving that you have to go to, and then the bachelor parties and all these other things. So yeah.
Well, that's so cool, though.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's cool. I'm excited for that. That's really cool.
And then when you were talking about like, I'm very sociable and things like that, it's weird, because like, I don't think I'm that way.
Really?
I don't think I am. And a lot of people, they see the highlights.
Okay. Yeah.
They see highlights.
Yeah. But
I am a hermit.
Okay.
Like, I go home and I stay home.
Okay.
Like, I've got a king size bed. Like, if I spent money somewhere, it's on my bed. Like, I'm locked and loaded. Like, I get in bed, someone's like, hey, I was wondering if we could, and I was like, no, I'm not leaving the house. Right. But the thing is like, people think that I've got all these other things, and it's just, I don't. I'm just posting stuff on Instagram. Like, and I mean, I've got acquaintances and people I know, and I like to network and get to know people. And I tell people this all the time. In Augusta, it's not what you know, and it's not who you know, but it's who knows you.
Gotcha.
And so if you're the first person people think of when it comes to training or getting help with your technology, you'll get that business every time. And so for me, it's like, for my business, I did no marketing and no advertising for 5 years. And I was able to run my business solely by myself for 5 years on referrals and word of mouth, because that's the type of town Augusta is. And I love it. I love Augusta.
Yeah. That's so cool. That's so cool. And of course that it makes so much sense, though. It's the people that know you, because I know I'll go out and like, my wife hates it because she's like, we can't go anywhere that somebody doesn't know you.
Right.
You know, and I was just sitting down trying to have dinner. I was like, Big Rob, what's going on? You know?
Yeah.
But I love that, because I love people.
Exactly.
I love people and talking. And I mean, I'll be grocery shopping. I'm supposed to just run in and get a gallon of milk and come home, and I'll spend an hour because I ran into somebody that I knew, and I'm talking and running my mouth, and she hates that stuff. But no, that's 100% true of this town. It's the people that know you, and I will say, you know, as someone that does know you, Chris, you know, I'm a better person for knowing you.
That's very sweet of you to say.
Absolutely. So in your big king size bed, you're hermited in the shell at the house,
right?
What do you like to do in that downtime? You're a reader? Are you a painter? Are you a potter, or a guitar player? What do you
I've been trying to learn how to play guitar for 10 years.
Yeah.
And cannot play a lick of it. Like, I'm horrible. I'm trying to learn how to play the harmonica as well. There's not too many harmonica teachers out there, you know?
Right. Well,
no, so that's what I blame it on.
Yeah.
But
COVID probably was made that hard, you know, all that spitting and stuff.
Hey, you know, try it out on mine here, buddy.
Right. Through your mask.
No, no. But so when I'm at home, the way that I can decompress is because I'm always thinking, I'm always trying to figure something out, is I have to have like a mission or a goal. And so I decompress by like going into a TV show or a video game where I have a goal or a mission. Okay. So like oftentimes when I'm studying or trying to focus on something or trying to get a task done, I listened to this article. I read this article, and it was basically like study to video game music. The reason why is because when the composers create it, they want to create a music that's not going to distract you from your goal, but spur you on and intensify over time. So you start getting, once you start listening to it, you start getting into it, and then you start rocking and rolling. And so I've noticed a big increase in just productivity myself just by choosing video game music, which it might not be the 90s hip hop and R&B that I would prefer.
Right.
But, you know,
So what's the game music you're listening to right now?
I'm pretty low key, and I go to YouTube and I type in video game music for studying.
Oh, that's, I mean, you know, that's a really cool idea though. And like you said, yeah, it is music that's composed to get you to the end. That makes 100% just being able to use it and apply it to your studying.
So like when I'm at home, I'm either doing those different things. I love to read. I've got probably 200 books at home, but I'm working on 4 currently. You know, I like to have a fun book. I like to have a book that's like for professional development. I like to have like a self-development book, and then just a random book, like a referral book, like a friend would refer a book to me, and I'm like, oh, I'll check it out or I'll try it out. So I like to read. I'm currently working on an invention, which is weird. I thought I would never say something like that. But I read a statistic maybe a year ago, and it was that a tow truck driver dies every 6 days in the United States. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Every 6 days, like one a week. That's insane to me. So I'm like researching, like, how does it happen, or what can we do to fix it, or what's the cause of this different stuff. So right now I'm kind of working on a road sign that is going to be kind of used by tow truck drivers to help save lives. So
that's awesome. Patent pending, Christopher Crozier.
Yeah.
Make sure if anybody hears
yeah,
they
for
don't
sure.
steal your idea. So.
I mean, that's why I didn't want to go into too much detail.
No, I got you.
But at the same time, like with everything with COVID going on, like it's made like ordering stuff from China very difficult and kind of not wanting to at the moment.
True.
So it's just designing stuff and trying to figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work, and what proprietary software that I'm going to have to kind of make it that 30-35% different to get the patent. So
that's so cool.
Yeah. So,
but again, that's more studying, diving in. It's stuff that you can focus on, and it all comes back to you wanting to help people.
It's very true. There's actually I was watching this movie with my fake nephew. He's my friend's son, but he calls me Uncle Tree or Uncle T. He couldn't say his R's for a long time. And I was watching Kung Fu Panda 3 with him. Was not trying to get motivated or inspired or anything. And there's this one line in there that just wrecks me. And it's been stuck in my brain for like the past 2-3 years. And if you ever get a chance to go watch Kung Fu Panda 3, I would recommend it. But there's a line in there where the main character, Jack Black, is a panda, and he's supposed to train everybody else on how to fight and how to be whatever. And he's like, I can't do that. I'm not that person. And so he comes back and he tells the trainer, he's like, that's the last time I'm doing that. I'm a failure. He was like, I'm not teaching anybody again. And he goes, the trainer goes, that's the last time of you failing or the last time of you trying something new? And he was like, well, I don't know. And he goes, and then the panda says, why would you ask me to do something if you knew I couldn't do it? And he hits him with this line, and this line kills me. And he says, if you only do what you can do, then you will never be more than what you are. And I'm just blown away. And I'm like, why am I trying to do an invention? Why am I trying to write a book? Why am I trying to do all of these other things? Because I want more. I want to be more. I want to help people. I want to do things that I didn't think I could do. But then again, if you look at other people, none of those people necessarily thought they could do those things. Nobody, like Michael Jordan playing basketball, he wasn't thinking, I'm going to be the greatest player alive when he first started, when he got kicked off of his high school team.
Right.
But, that repetition, that repetition and created that inspiration and that motivation and the dedication for him to be the greatest. So even though I kind of think LeBron James is the greatest, but it's neither here nor there.
All right, Chris, this is a time in the show we'd like to dive a little bit deeper into you.
Uh-oh.
Okay, yeah, no. What I ask you is, how do you stay positive, and what do you do to keep the dark at bay?
This is a great question. Well, first off, I just want to say, like, me personally, one of the great things about having Rob as a friend is just he doesn't stay surface with you. Like, he genuinely cares. And so, like, you don't find that with a lot of people. And if you're not able to go and have an in-depth conversation with your friend, why are they your friend? But to answer your question, how do I keep the dark at bay? To be honest with you, I don't. And it's hard. And it sucks. I'm that person that's like afraid to go see somebody because I'm like, yeah, they're going to diagnose me. I just know it. I'm going to have depression and anxiety and this and that and this. And like having like the hard part is like, I have such a good memory and it's great if I'm taking a test or I need to remember something for work. But when you're alone and you're by yourself and all you can think about is the mistakes you've made and the horrible things that you've done or the mean things that you've said, it eats away at you. And so for me, like sleeping in that giant king size bed when you can't sleep, it feels even more lonely. But I started noticing like, I listened to this podcast by Ed Milet, and it's Ed Milet and Steven Seibold, I believe. And he talks about his morning routine. And for the longest time, I just thought that that's how I live my life. I'd just be either depressed or anxious some days. I'd have my good days. I have my bad days. I have whatever it may be. But I listened to this podcast and he starts talking and he says, are you in control of the first 30 minutes of your day? And are you in control of the last 30 minutes of your day? I was like, not really. I mean, I wake up when I wake up. I wake up when my alarm goes off. I go to bed when I'm tired. Like, I'm an adult. I can choose when I don't need a bedtime. Like, I'm an adult.
Yeah.
But he said, if you're not in control of those things, then you're probably not in control of your day at all. And as you get older, you realize like you want your kids to like be on time and you want your kids to be here and do these things. And you set up kind of structures for them. And I used this weird analogy when it came to like youth group and explaining it to people. And they were like, oh, well, Jesus just wants you to have these set of rules. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, it's like, why do you put a invisible fence for your dog out in the yard? It's because you don't want them to get hurt. Like, you care for the animal. You don't want them to get hurt. So you set out these rules and things to protect them so that they can live a full life. And so for me, I was like, I don't have any rules for myself. And it was, I get up when I want to. I eat what I want. Like, literally. Like, you've seen my Instagram. I literally eat whatever I want.
Yeah.
But like,
I gain weight looking at your Instagram.
I've had so many people that were like, you need to start like a food blog page or you need to do this. And I'm like, that would even add more fuel to the fire. Like, definitely don't need that. But I had no rules, and having no rules led to mess and chaos. And then one of my favorite people is Jim Carrey. And he says, yes, you can have depression. Yes, you can have anxiety. Yes, you can have these different things. But what are you doing about them? He was like, if you're not getting outside, if you're not exercising, if you're not eating right, if you're not doing these different things to help yourself, you're already hurting yourself. You might not even have as bad of a issue as you think you do if you're not taking proactive steps. And so I've listened to all these different podcasts that talk about like vitamin D for the body and protection of your gut and how the enzymes mess with your hormones and your chemicals and things like that. So I was like, maybe if I like took care of myself and actually tried, then maybe I would feel better. So in that podcast I mentioned earlier, he gives you like his morning routine. And I'm going to mention this to you, and I know it's going to sound crazy. And I know all of y'all are going to get to a point, and I'll mention the point, but you're going to get to a point, you're going to be like, nope, I ain't doing that. But he basically breaks it down. And so this was my morning routine, which I kind of stole from him, is the night before you pick out your clothes. If you notice how monks and multiple different types of people, they have one set of clothes. That's it. That's all they wear. Mm-hmm. So that brain function in the morning of making that decision and doing all those different things, it's not there. You're already prepared. Hey, this is what I'm wearing. So set out your clothes. You take a hot shower. You take as hot a shower as you can get, which I was 100% there for. And so the reason why is it opens up the blood vessels. It makes it easier for you to sleep. And he mentions a certain temperature for you to sleep at. Set everything up, have the room a certain way. Mm-hmm. And so I bought this $20 Amazon alarm clock that wakes you up to light. So instead of jolting you out of your sleep, you actually wake up to an amber to a white light that gradually increases, and your body wakes up naturally. Okay. And so I was like, that's pretty interesting. So ended up getting up at 5:30 every morning, which if you know me, that is not my style. Wow. So every morning, 5:30, and you get up, you drink a glass of water because your body's been so dehydrated over the past 8 hours. You're supposed to do a workout then, which I did as many push-ups and crunches as I could. So one each. Mm-hmm. And then you jump into, and this is the part that everyone's like, nah, not for me. You jump into a cold shower. Not it's hot, lukewarm, and then you move it down to cold. No. You get it as cold as possible, and you jump in and you take a complete shower, and then you get out. And people are like, no, that's not for me. But I found out that the shivering actually burns calories. So it worked out. There
you go.
So after you get out, you've already got your clothes, everything's good. And so then you spend the first hour awake, no phones. Okay. An hour before you go to bed, no phones. Okay. And so that was kind of difficult at first, but then you start it's like a superpower then. It's weird. Same way with cold showers. After 14 days, first 14 days, I was like, this is the dumbest decision I've ever made in my life. But day 15, day 16, I was like, I am alive. I was like it's supposed to regenerate your cells faster, boost your immune system, start the fight or flight kind of mentality. And so I didn't need coffee anymore. I drank it because I liked the taste. I drank decaf, but I didn't need it. Mm-hmm. And I was just super alert. And so I would read in the morning and I would get all this different stuff done. So I'd be in the office at 7:30 every morning and I'd knock out everything I had to do. I'd come home, take an hour nap because I was so productive earlier that I didn't have any need for this other stuff. And so I was like, man, I just knocked out all my work in this time frame. I went to these networking events. I did this. I meal prepped. I had all this different stuff done. And so I did this routine for 8 months, and I was more alert. I was more productive. I made more money than I've ever made in my life. And then one of my friends was like, hey, you want to go out with us one night? You want to go hang out? And I stayed out till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And best believe I did not get up at 5:30 that day. Uh-huh. But, it was that one sacrifice that set me off course. Mm. And so it was figuring out what my priorities are. So I'm jumping back into that here soon. And whenever someone says soon, just ask them for a specific date because you'll run into the same problem that me and Rob have is we should get lunch soon. And you're like, yeah, that sounds great. And then nothing. Right. But it's okay, so for me, I'm starting my routine December 1st.
There you go.
I love
put a date on the calendar.
Yeah, it's already on the calendar. It's happening. I'm doing this thing called 75 Hard, the mental toughness program. And so for me, it's I'm doing the routine. I'm doing the mental toughness program. If you don't know what it is, look it up. I think you'd be interested in it. If you want to join me, December 1st, that's the day it's happening. Mm. But I waited then because I have a bunch of weddings and things like that, which I would kind of hinder me from doing it. Right. But the other thing is I love Thanksgiving food. Oh.
There you go.
But enough about me. I kind of rambled for a little bit.
No, you're fine. That's what I want to know. But I mean, that type of commitment for you is what it takes to get you into a good, solid mental place.
Oh, for sure. Otherwise, I'm thinking of something completely different. My mind somewhere else. Having a goal and a purpose and a focus is huge. And even being able to be outside, talking to other people, like if you look at all these entrepreneurs and billionaires and all these other people, you can look at like Jeff Bezos and him being this kind of a body like mine. And then like immediately after he starts making this money, he prioritizes his health because he realizes he's his best self when he's healthy. Mm. Every entrepreneur, all these different people prioritize their health because it changes the way you look at things. That's why so many people go to the gym and they want to work out, is because that feeling, that rush that they get, they're able to take on the rest of their day once they had that workout. They feel completely different.
And you're already a driven person. It makes sense that those things would help you to get to where you want to
right.
be.
I would say the only other thing that I recommend for people is kindness. And like, I would notice like there's these people and we've worked with these people before, but you're like, how is that person this nice all the time? How is this person this kind all the time? Like just so self-sacrificial. And it's because that person knows what it's like to be picked on. That person knows what it's like to be excluded. That person knows what it's like to not feel enough, whatever it is. And so for me, it's like, I'm a big goofball, but if I knew everybody was happy or they were good, I would be the most silent person you've ever met. Like I would just keep everything to myself, wouldn't say a word. But like, I'll go into Taco Bell and they're like, hey, welcome to Taco Bell. How's your day? And I go, I'm having a Baja Blast. And every time it gets some kind of laugh or something from somebody. And they were like, why do you do that every time you go to a restaurant or a drive-thru or something? And I'm like, because I've been that person that's had that monotonous conversation with somebody who doesn't really treat me like a person. And I want them to know that they are seen and they're heard and they're like, that they matter. And like maybe what I said brightened their day, or maybe what I said like changed their perspective on something. But you can't treat people negatively or harshly or mean and expect to change the world, which I definitely don't expect to change the world, but I expect to help the people that I can help.
And you're changing your world for sure. I mean, you are. I mean, your world, when you walked into the Taco Bell, your world was devoid of laughter.
Right.
Until you walked in there.
That's true.
So take that perspective. You bring a lot of good into this world, whether you want to downplay that or not.
I appreciate it. It's hard to accept compliments for me, but it's so weird because I'm used to just giving them to people and then being like, no, I'm not this or I'm not that. And I'm like, just say thank you. Let me walk away. But I'm the same way now because I'm like, thanks, I guess. Like, thanks. Instead of saying thanks, I guess. Yeah, thanks.
All right, Chris, this is the third segment of the show. It's time now for the Fast Five. I don't have a theme song for the Fast Five yet. I'm still working on it. But,
that was it.
Yeah, but it's the Fast Five. I'm going to ask you 5 questions from the Poddex app created by my friend Travis Brown. It's great conversation starters. I know you do YPA and you do speaking things and stuff like that. So if you ever need icebreakers or something like that, check out Poddex. As a matter of fact, if you go to chewingthefatbr.com, there's a link on there. And if you use the promo code CHEW, you get 10% off your physical decks or anything you find on there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the randomizer here, and we're just going to ask you these Fast 5 questions. Let's go with number 1. New car smell or money smell, and why?
Money smell. Easy.
Okay.
The reason why, I'm old school. I am old school. Like, I like the smell of old books. Okay. I like the smell of like if you've ever been to the Augusta Candle Company, highly recommend you go. There's a plug. But I always get like bourbon and mahogany or mug and brush, like these old. My grandfather used to wear this cologne called Old English, and it smells horrible. But like my grandmother loved it, and so I wear it occasionally, like not all the time. Okay. It's an acquired taste, but
But it has good memories for you.
It does. And so like I'm old school. So when people are like, hey, do you want me to write you a check, or do you want cash, or do you want whatever? I'm like, or do you want Venmo? I'm like, nah, don't pay me in Venmo. Like I like a cash or a check. Like I like that money in my hand, or I like going to the bank and like depositing the checks. Like that's, I don't know. I enjoy going to the bank. Like I like knowing the people at the bank.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. Number 2. Escape room or haunted house?
Oh, escape room, 100%.
Why?
I love escape rooms. I've been to probably like 3 or 4. I'm actually planning to go to a couple in Colombia, and they've got like some like serious like, how do I word it? Like military based escape rooms. Like they put a bag over your head, and you've got to like, you're handcuffed, and you've got to like figure out how to get out. It's pretty crazy. I love the problem solving. So my whole job is problem solving, critical, like understanding of critical thinking of what's the next step, or maybe I should look at it from a different perspective or a different point of view. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Have you won many escape rooms?
I've won 2. I've been to 3.
Okay.
So
that's good. I mean, that's
66%.
I was about to say, that's good if you're playing baseball. I mean, they put you on the starting lineup. That's good. This is coming from a non-sport person. I don't know if they put you on the starting lineup. I don't know if it's actually.
We'll go with it. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll go with it.
Yeah.
All right, number 3. What was your first job? First job we made money. I mean, you know, sometimes you have to do stuff for your family and stuff, but what was your first job you made money?
The first job I tell people is I worked at a blueberry farm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet you didn't see that one coming.
Wow.
But I mean, I was always entrepreneurial. I always had like lawn jobs for people, or like landscaping stuff, or like trying to figure stuff out. But I lived in McBean. Like you thought Waynesboro was bad. Like I think of the small subsection of McBean, and then like my closest neighbor was my family members that lived a mile away from me. Wow. And so like, it's not like I could have like a lemonade stand or like live in a cul-de-sac. Like if you were coming to my house, you were coming on purpose. Right. And so, so my first job was with a company called Bine Blueberries, at Bine Blueberry Farms. And, basically they're in Whole Foods. They're like a nationwide kind of platform, but yeah, I went in and I picked out all the bad blueberries and made sure that they were good on the conveyor belt. And so, I ended, the girl who I was working with, she was also my prom date, for senior year, which I won prom king at Burke County High School. No big deal. But I picked blueberries. That was my first job.
You still like blueberries now? Did you like them then?
I love blueberries.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Especially that blueberry donut over at Dunkin' Donuts.
I have not tried that. I like the blueberry fritter that Sheila's has down the street over here in North Augusta.
You'll have to let me bring you a blueberry fritter from Pineland Bakery.
Now, you know I'm a Bear Claw man.
I'm a Bear Claw guy.
Oh, Pineland Bakery. Oh, so good. So good. Man, I will drive that hour just to go to get some Bear Claws for sure. I forgot what number 1. All right, we're on number 3. 4. Are you OCD about anything?
Yes. So a long time ago, I don't remember exactly an age or what it was, but I sat something down on top of a Bible one time, and my dad was like, "What are you doing? Like you don't put anything on top of a Bible." And I was like I didn't really think anything of it, but now I'm the exact same way. Like I have my Bible like on the corner of my desk, and I'm like somebody will like hand me something, or they'll put a piece of paper over it, and I'm like, "What's wrong with you? Like, why would you put something on top of the Bible? What's wrong with you, boy?" But yeah, weird. I know.
No, but I mean that sounds like you. That sounds like you have a huge amount of respect for the Bible, whether it was because of your dad, which maybe you have a huge amount of respect for him as well.
For sure.
But no, I don't think that's too far off.
Yeah, my dad's the coolest. Yeah,
that's awesome. All right, and number 5. If you could live in anyone's head for 15 minutes, kind of like if you've ever seen the movie Being John Malkovich, if you could live in anyone's head for 15 minutes, who would you choose?
Wow, that's a great question. Man, I'm gonna need a couple seconds to
think on that. Take your time there. I
mean, it could be anybody's head.
Yeah.
Living, dead.
Let's say living, dead. I mean, dead, you're probably going to see the inside of a coffin, but whatever, I mean,
that's true.
No, let's just say it could be anybody. If anybody, if they were living in the past or whatever, you were in their head. So
I would love to live in Elijah's head from the Bible. I know that's a very cop-out answer or like a Christian answer or whatever it is, but there's a story in Scripture, and it's 1 Kings, I believe it's 17 and 19 and stuff like that. And there's a scene where he's in front of like all of these people, and like they don't necessarily believe in like what he's saying, and he has these sacrifices in front of him and things like that. And he prays down this prayer, and if he's basically wrong, they're going to kill him. And there's 450 prophets versus him. So it's not like he can escape or anything like that. And just his confidence and assurance of who he is and who the Lord is astounds me. I think it's like the coolest thing to me. But later on in the verse, you find out that like he's running from all these different people and things like that. And he's running from the queen, and there's supposed to be this drought. And he sees this hand-shaped cloud come up from this lake or pond that he's looking at. And he sees it, and he says, "Go down and tell the queen that the drought is over." It says, "Get on the chariot and tell the queen that the drought is over." And so his servant gets on the chariot and goes down towards the queen. And it says, then the Holy Spirit came upon him, and he girded his loins, and he beat the chariot there. This man outran a horse. And so like later on in Jeremiah, I think in verses 12:5, he says, "If you have raced with mere men and they have tired you out, how then will you compete with horses?" And so it's like always improving yourself, the confidence that you have in the Lord, just all these different things like tying together. But like earlier, like he had all this confidence, and then he starts doubting again. And like, how often do we do that? Like, and that's just like for mental health as well. It's like we go out and we do this great job, or we are serving all these people in one way, and we are so used to looking at ourselves in the mirror. We're so used to looking at ourselves that we don't look at the good things. We look at just the bad things. And so now we start to doubt who we are and what we are and how we carry ourselves and how we walk, just because we made one mistake, but we're not looking at all the other great things that are out there. And so how he went from having this much confidence to this much confidence and this much doubt. And then finally the Lord is just taking care of him the entire time. And he was like, all right. And then the Holy Spirit comes upon him, and he outruns a horse. Like whether you believe in God or not, like that's freaking cool. So, but that's me. If I could live in someone's head, I would love to kind of see the dynamic of like what he's thinking or what happened during those moments for him.
That's awesome, Chris. Thank you so much. That's it. That's the time. That's our time. That's your Fast Five, and that is the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in. I'm glad we finally were able to make schedules work, and we'll have to work on trying to get that lunch in at some point.
We'll do it soon.
Yeah, we'll do it real soon. Chris, if people want to keep up with you, what's the best way they can follow you either on socials or find you?
Just search my name on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Tree Crozier, and that's Crozier. You can find me on Twitter. I don't use it, but you could find me there.
He's there.
I'm on MySpace as well. Still,
Ooh.
I still know my password. Pretty big deal.
That's awesome.
I think that's it.
Well, we'll put the links in the show notes as well. So if you guys want to follow Chris, see his amazing life and his highlight reel as he goes to these next 4 or 5 more weddings that you've got.
Yeah, I think it's 4 weddings. One of them's in Texas. I may not be able to make one or two of them, but we'll see.
But if you ever just want to get inspired as well, or if you need a dad joke, just reach out to Chris. Follow him on Instagram. Like I said, we'll put the links on the show notes, and of course you can find out more about all of our guests on the website at chewingthefatdr.com. Thank you again, Chris, for being here. I love our friendship. I love you. And I wish you nothing but success with everything that you've got going on. Looking forward to that book and the invention and everything.
All of it. It's coming.
That's so
soon.
Cool. So cool. If you would like to support this podcast, you can do that by buying me a coffee as well at chewingthefatbr.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I look forward to the next time when we have a moment to sit a spell and chew the fat.